Well, now that the series is on an anthology route, what new story are we gonna get next? Oh, it's great to have you back, Michael. Sorry, let me just make an adjustment here. There we go. Back to basics. What is up, everybody? Welcome back to my look at the Halloween franchise. Today, Michael is alive and ready to pick up his rampage from 10 years ago in Halloween 4, The Return of Michael Myers. Season of the Witch was not the beginning of something new for the series, as it was a total flop, becoming the lowest grossing of the first 3 movies. Fans were pissed as they wondered where the hell Michael was, and critics just didn't care for the story and were also slightly confused as to how this related to the previous entries. The franchise lay dormant for 6 years until producer Mustafa Akkad bought the rights to Halloween from John Carpenter and Deborah Hill in order to make a new movie that involved Michael back in action. Alan B. McElroy was brought in to write a script. However, with the writer's strike of '88 looming, he had to complete it quickly. He developed the concept, pitched the idea, and had a finalized script completed in just 11 days. It involved a retcon that Michael and Dr. Loomis survived the explosion in the hospital, leaving Michael in a coma for 10 years. He would awake and go after his niece, Jamie, who would be in foster care after her mother was killed in a car accident. Loomis, of course, would come back to hunt down Michael once again. Donald Pleasance was more than happy to return and reprise the role, while child actress Danielle Harris was cast to play Jamie Lloyd, and George P. Wilbur donned the Michael Myers mask. With our iconic villain back from the dead and a new relative to pursue, would the reaction be positive after Season of the Witch? Let's find out. The movie begins with a great opening credits sequence. It absolutely sets the mood for the film with its eerie shots in the middle of the country with ominous music playing. There's a storm coming in the distance, which can also represent Michael's imminent return. I love this because it really gets you in the Halloween spirit, which continues throughout. Of all the films, I will say this one feels the most Halloween to me. On October 30th, 1988, 2 paramedics show up to Ridgemont Federal Sanitarium to transfer Michael back to Smith's Grove. The creepy guard shows them the way, but recaps the events of the first 2 movies.
But his doctor, of all people, shot him 6 times. Then he set him on fire. Both of them nearly burned to death.
I don't know, Michael looked down for the count at the end of Halloween 2, and I can't imagine Loomis not being blown to bits, but the show must go on. We meet Dr. Hoffman, who has been tending to Michael this whole time. Not sure why he would put so much effort into keeping a serial killer alive. Seems like a waste of taxpayer expenses. After speaking with him for a bit and checking Michael's vitals, they load him up for transfer. This is probably my favorite rendition of Carpenter's original theme. When it kicks in during that scene, it just feels powerful, like the original, and gets you psyched. During the ride, the male paramedic mentions that Michael has only one remaining blood relative alive, a niece, but she's far too young to take care of him. This information is enough to get Michael's blood pumping once again.
No, I still don't understand.
Damn, first kill gets the movie rolling. I remember the first time I watched that as a kid, and it scared the crap out of me to see Michael just needed a thumb to take somebody out. Cut to Jamie looking outside at what appears to be the same ambulance. Her foster sister Rachel joins her to see if she can get her back to sleep, but they end up discussing their family relationship.
We're not really sisters, Jamie. But that doesn't mean that I love you any less.
Hey, Rachel. It's called tax, you fuckrag. Jamie goes to bed, but first she looks at an old picture of her mom, Lori, which really just looks like a publicity shot from the original Halloween. Anyway, she says her prayers before going to sleep, but suddenly an arm reaches out from under the bed. Huh. That mask is less than desirable. For some reason, it just looks a little doofy. Thought we get the one they promised on the poster, but there was a bit of a mix-up with masks on set, which led to this. It's certainly not the worst, but it irks me quite a bit. Anyways, the whole event was just a nightmare Jamie was having. The next morning, Mrs. Carruthers receives a phone call that Jamie's babysitter has to cancel. She has no idea how much she lucked out, so she has to ask Rachel to look after Jamie. Rachel throws a bit of a fit because she doesn't want to break off her date with her boyfriend Brady because she has to babysit. Jamie hears all this and, feeling like she's to blame, runs off.
Good job, Rachel. That little girl needs all the love we can give her right now. All you can do is think about yourself
Yeah, Rachel, good job on continuously giving your foster sister so much shit. However, she does apologize to Jamie and offers to take her out for ice cream, so it's all good now. At Ridgemont, Dr. Loomis shows up to confront Dr. Hoffman about letting Michael get transported. As you can see, that explosion appears to have only left him with a big burn mark on his cheek and hands. While they discuss the issue, Hoffman receives a call that the ambulance from the night before crashed. They both arrive at the scene of the accident, but only Loomis investigates the inside of the ambulance. He deduces that Michael is gone and is heading back to Haddonfield. Hoffman thinks he's crazy, because even if Michael did escape, his muscles would be completely useless.
You're talking about him as if he were a human being. That part of him died years ago.
Loomis takes off for Haddonfield, but we see at a local gas station that Michael has made it pretty far and kills the mechanic. Just gonna say it, I prefer the bandage look over the mask. Far cooler and scarier, so I would not have mind seeing that for the rest of the movie over the half-assed Myers mask. Coincidentally, Loomis pulls up to the same gas station and finds the dead bodies of the people there and the phones destroyed. But he discovers Michael just patiently standing in the kitchen. Loomis pleads with him to leave Haddonfield alone and take him if he really wants to kill someone.
Please. Michael. God damn you.
Not sure how he pulled off that disappearing act, but Michael escapes in a truck and blows up the gas station and Loomis's car, the third straight movie with a car explosion. At school, Jamie is cruelly tormented by a bunch of other kids who make fun of her for having a dead mom and an uncle who is the boogeyman.
You're okay.
Harris is a great little actress, and I've always thought she did a great job in this particular scene. You can tell she's put up with this type of bullying for a while, and her trying to calm herself down by repeatedly telling herself you're okay feels believable and relatable. She's picked up by Rachel and tells her she's decided that she wants to trick or treat that night to be like one of the normal kids, but she needs a costume at the discount mart. It's there we get to meet Rachel's boyfriend Brady and the sheriff's daughter Kelly. Jamie goes looking for a costume while Rachel breaks the news to Brady that she can't be with him that night because she has to babysit.
Why didn't you tell me before? I mean, it's 5 o'clock now, Rachel.
Don't get angry.
I'm not angry, it's just...
Wow, what a nice guy. Surely he won't do anything shitty later on. In the back, Jamie finds the perfect clown costume, but after being reminded that Michael wore the same costume as a child, the real Michael appears and goes after Jamie. However, by the time Rachel finds her, he's disappeared. Meanwhile, Loomis is trying to hitchhike his way to Haddonfield. A group of teens look like they'll take him, but they make him eat dust. Those fuckers. Send Michael after all of their asses. Luckily, he's picked up by old man Reverend Sayer.
Apocalypse, end of the world, Armageddon. I've been hunting the bastard for 30 years, give or take. You can't kill damnation, mister.
I like this scene because for once, Loomis is the one who is doing all the listening while the other speaks to him about the evils that he is hunting in this world. Who the hell wouldn't want to see these two in a team-up spin-off? That night, after Jamie and Rachel leave, we see Michael enter the house and look at pictures of his sister, young self, and niece. But Loomis finally makes it to Haddonfield too, looking for Sheriff Brackett, but instead greeted by the new sheriff, Meeker. Loomis tries to warn him of Myers' return, but Meeker is a little weary of him.
I tell you, Michael Myers is here, in this town. He's here to kill that little girl and anybody who gets in his way.
I love that Pleasance is making this character more intense with each entry. Here, it's like he's gotten to the point where he's sick of those that refuse to listen to him and his warnings. Meeker is more willing to believe him than Brackett was and agrees to assist in the Myers hunt. Elsewhere, Jamie is trick-or-treating and bumps into the kids from school, but suddenly they're all nice to her and invite her to join them. Alright, I guess a clown costume is enough to earn the respect of your bullies. The house they roll up to is that of Meeker's daughter, Kelly, where Rachel gets a surprise.
Little monster. You little clown. There you go. Trick or treat.
Oh, you done fucked up now, man. The two get into a well-deserved fight, but Rachel loses Jamie in the process. We're then randomly taken to a local bar where the owner, Earl, hears some news reports that lead him to try calling the police, but gets no answer. This causes him to rally his group of hick buddies, guns in hand, to go check out what the deal is. Loomis and Meeker investigate the Carruthers house and come to the conclusion that Michael has already been there after finding the spread out photos and a dead dog. Speaking of which, what is Michael up to? Oh, he wants his new buddy Bucky to help him knock out the power to the town. Rachel has a nice creepy moment when she's looking for Jamie but sees Myers instead, leading to a bit of a chase. But shortly afterwards, she's able to reunite with Jamie until Meeker and Loomis arrive to take them to safety. Only one problem. Or maybe several?
Dear God.
It's obviously a prank by some stupid kids, but I've never understood why this was done. Like, what did they want us, the audience, to think? What were we supposed to wonder what was going on in the heads of Loomis and Meeker? That there were actually multiple Michaels? Or that he had influenced a few other psycho copycats? I don't know, just always been a weird scene to me. Back at the police station, Meeker and Loomis discover that it's been completely destroyed and several officers have been killed. Outside, Earl and his group want to know what's going on, so when Loomis says Michael Myers has returned to kill again, the vigilantes band together to hunt him down. On their crusade, the mob thinks they spot Myers and open fire.
Shit, Earl. It's Ted Hollister.
Oh no, not Ted Hollister! Poor guy was just hiding in some bushes on Halloween night. The hell was he up to? Well, Michael is actually hiding in the back seat of Deputy Logan's cruiser, which is now on its way to meet up with Meeker. Brady and Kelly are having sex at the house, lousy douchebag, but they're interrupted by Meeker, Loomis, Jamie, and Rachel. Everyone begins to prepare and secure the house so that no one can enter, but Logan notices his car door is open while making preparations. Well, they're already screwed because that sneaky Michael is already inside. Logan keeps watch of the front door while Loomis and Meeker try to reach help from the state police. However, Loomis leaves to check the Carruthers house because he thinks that's where Michael will go back to. In the kitchen, Rachel and Kelly have a bit of a cat fight after the whole Brady incident.
Wise up to what men want, Rachel. Or Brady won't be the last man you lose to another woman. Have some coffee.
Yeah, take that, bitch. Meeker gets the report that the Hicks killed Ted Hollister, prompting him to leave and put Rachel in charge of the radio. Upstairs, Kelly brings coffee and small talk to Logan sitting in the chair. However, Logan's dead body is discovered in the corner. So who's in the chair? Such an awesome kill. Give Michael a gun and he doesn't shoot. He gets creative and impales you with it. Also, I don't mind the mask in this shot. It's lit well in the darkness to make it look a little less dumb. Rachel discovers the dead bodies of Logan and Kelly and rushes to find Jamie, but she's missing. Brady tries to get them out of the house, but is unsuccessful. As they head upstairs, Jamie just appears. Not sure why you briefly had her missing in the first place then. But so does Michael, and he goes after Brady, who tries to fight him off to protect the two girls. Another great kill thanks to the sound design. I've mentioned in some of the Friday the 13th reviews that the sound can greatly enhance the effectiveness of a kill, and it certainly does here. The girls escape upstairs and onto the roof, but struggle along the way, especially when Michael catches up to them. Why the fuck does he look like he's wearing shoulder pads? Is he getting ready for a football game after he kills his niece? Rachel falls off the roof after being attacked by Michael, but Jamie was lucky enough to lower herself down. No time to grieve though over the potentially dead Rachel because Michael is closing in. Jamie runs into Loomis, who asks her to take them to the schoolhouse because it's the safest place. They make it to the school, but it's not as safe as they thought it was. I've never understood why they kept those shots. Michael is clearly wearing a pink mask with blonde hair. Why? Why not go back and redo this? Why would someone on set not go, oh shit, wrong mask, gotta get the right one? This has always annoyed me, and I'm sure I'm not alone. Jamie is nearly caught by Michael, but Rachel's alive and she saves her by spraying him with a fire extinguisher. Earl and the boys are outside and help escort the girls out of town. After passing the state police on their way out, Michael is shown to have latched onto the truck and hoists himself up. How? When? I don't know. Regardless, he kills all of Earl's friends and then Earl himself. Oh, Michael just dug right in there. Rachel takes the wheel as Michael flails on top of the truck until she slams on the brakes, knocking him off. He quickly gets back up, so Rachel rams right into him, sending him flying. As the police arrive to help, Jamie thinks it's a good idea to approach and touch Michael. He rises up, only to get blasted to hell right into the abandoned well behind him. The girls are returned home after their ordeal, and Loomis is fine, stating that Michael is in hell where he belongs. I have a hard time believing he believes that. He survives being burned over 100 100% of his body. Gunshots into a well don't convince me. But upstairs there's a POV that grabs a pair of scissors and slips on a mask to attack Mrs. Carruthers. Could Michael really be back?
No! 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 No!
The evil has been passed down. That is chilling. My overall thoughts on Halloween 4. I enjoy it a lot. It serves as a fairly good follow-up to the first two. It is a little ridiculous to say that Michael and Loomis survived that fire, but we needed Michael back, and the reasoning more or less makes sense for all intents and purposes. For a story that was conceived and completed in less than 2 weeks, I think it works fantastically, and surprisingly doesn't give off the sense that it was rushed, unlike some other entries. It's been set up that Michael wants to go after all of his blood relatives, and since they couldn't get Jamie Lee back to play Laurie, I think it was a good idea to have him come back for his young niece. It kind of ups the stakes, because of course nobody wants to see this little girl harmed in any way by Myers. I mentioned this in the beginning, but this one has the best Halloween atmosphere. It captures that fall essence and truly feels like we're watching a film that takes place around the holiday. I'll be honest, I obviously love the original, but you could set that one on any day of the year and it just so happens to take place on Halloween. It is most fun to watch in October, but to me part 4 does a better job of setting that autumn mood. This may be my second favorite cast of characters. Danielle Harris did such a good job as Jamie, showing off the emotional toll this young girl is being put through between being orphaned, bullied, and chased after by her serial killer uncle. Pleasance is once again great as Loomis. He never fails to impress me with his dedication to the character. Ellie Cornell is also great as Rachel. She starts off a bit snotty and self-absorbed, but she goes through a change, eventually becoming the strong protector and puts Jamie before anything else. I also really like Sheriff Meeker more than Brackett. He definitely takes the Myers threat more seriously and actively works with Loomis instead of questioning every damn move he makes. There are some well done kills here as well. My favorites are the thumb in the forehead, Kelly being stabbed by a freaking gun, and Brady's neck crush. The latter two feel deserved, although Brady did go out trying to save Rachel and Jamie. Doesn't change the fact he switched gears from Rachel to Kelly too quickly and was a total douchebag. I'd say the only conflicting thing about this movie is actually Michael himself. I'll admit that I like how they decided to put him back in the shadows or far in the distance, not showing too much of him until the climax. It feels a little similar to the original in that aspect, keeping the boogeyman out of sight but still have him almost be everywhere. And the display of strength throughout just makes him more scary, even though he really should be incredibly weak after a 10-year coma. But as I've said, he's the boogeyman, so the rules of proper body functions don't apply to him. My biggest complaints about him are the mask and his body build. I've never been a huge fan of George Wilbur playing Michael. His size and stature don't make me believe I'm looking at the same Michael from parts 1 and 2. For me, he's too bulky, and I'm telling you, he had to be wearing shoulder pads during the shoot. The mask is my biggest issue with the movie. Had they been able to replicate the original mask, I would likely hold this in higher regard than I already do. I don't know how to explain it, it just looks so goofy and awkward. I've grown to hate it less over the years, but it does get an eye roll out of me every time I see it. My last thought is that I love the ending. When I first saw that as a kid, I did think Michael was in the house, so I was shocked to see Jamie become a killer. And Loomis's cries of no are just so haunting. Another entry that leaves us with a very morbid conclusion. So while the way Michael is brought back is a bit contrived and I hate his mask and body build, I like everything else in this movie between the great characters, fantastic mood setting, cool kills, and feeling of being a seamless successor to part 2. I give Halloween 4: The Return of Michael Myers 4 thumbs up out of 5. But let me know your thoughts. Were you happy to see Michael back after the failed anthology attempt? Are you fine with the retcon of his survival in the fire? How do you feel about the mask? And what was your favorite kill? Don't forget to subscribe and follow my Twitter and Instagram. Links to those are in the description. Next week, Michael comes back for Jamie once more in Halloween 5: The Revenge of Michael Myers. Until next time, peace.